So it was like, I already knew on this hand what me doing it my way yielded, and it sucked and it was shit and it got me into rehab. In Perth, Australia, on tour opening up for Guns N' Roses. And I go out to go scuba dive by myself and get on the scuba boat. And I'm under this giant rock formation with this beam of light shooting in. And I'm on my knees just trying to, like, you know, chill out. And I'm like, this is my 3rd year sober. This is awesome. Thank you so much. This is a great experience. I'm scuba diving off of Perth, Australia, on tour opening for Guns N' Roses with Korn. It's like it was all because of recovery. So I cherished that. I didn't lose sight of that. I'm here because I got sober.
And then Korn, I mean, how did that come about? I mean, you know, they called you up and said, you know, what are you doing?
Yeah, basically, I had been out of music for about 6 years, left not sober, got sober. I was actually 2 years into my second time and just felt this pain in my soul, like I was supposed to play still. Not like an ego thing, but like, I'm not done. And I started meditating. I got really into meditation out of desperation to change my life because I knew I was going to go back to school. So I remember seeing in this literature, some call the big book, says we develop vital sixth sense. And I was like, I would like to develop that. So I started meditating all the time, doing these Wayne Dyer meditations for manifestation. It's called the awe meditation. Like, sure, I'll do this. And I kid you not, I started doing that for, a few weeks, and all these weird serendipities started happening. And I thought, I'm going to meditate on getting back into music. And I was basically like, okay, universe, I want to get back into music, not some crappy punk band, not going to drive around in a van, bring it on. And then sure enough, oh, hey, it's Monkey from Korn. You want to come play guitar with us? I'm like, why, yes, I do. It's actually a cool recovery story. And then I finally landed it because I was sober. They wanted a sober guitar player. And I knew the Korn guys from back in the 90s, but it wasn't like we were tight. It was like a mutual love, historical respect and stuff. So it was even more bizarre when out of nowhere I get this text. It wasn't like Monkey and I were on the chat, it was like years. And so boom, here it came.
And so what was that like? I mean, how much time did you have going literally back on the road? I mean, pinned wide open. I mean, you're joining Korn. I mean, this is not a bar gig. I mean, this is like you're on the road. What was that like being clean?
Yeah, it was interesting because my band before that, HED PE, we played with, System of a Down and Korn and Deftones and Slipknot and Incubus. This was all our peeps. So we kind of went up to here, and then with a lot of my help, we kind of imploded and I bailed that band. And so the metaphor I use is like, it felt like when maybe there's an athlete and they're like, this guy could be something, but then he blows out his knee and you're like, oh man, he had some skill. I felt like that, Yeah. It's not about me, but our band had a lot of potential. So getting the Korn gig was me getting sober, being lost in my life. What am I doing? I feel like I'm supposed to be a musician, but I'm like 40 or something at the time, getting into a band gig, and what, you're going to tour and be broke? I don't know, man. And then, like I said, the spiritual practices I was taught got me back in there. So I was bawling. When I finally landed that gig, I was in a Starbucks in like Charlotte, North Carolina, and I just started bawling. Because for me, it was like, this is all the work and the promises that they say in recovery that you'll have a life beyond your wildest dreams. I never thought I'd play music again. Certainly you can't play music sober. That's what my brain said. Your music career's done. You're sober now. But I got the gig because I was sober. And so I just kept doing what I was doing. I kept going to meetings, and then it became this beautiful experience to go to different support groups around the world. Mm-hmm. India. I went in India and Hong Kong and Manchester, and on my 3rd year anniversary. So I got this gig in about 2.5 years. The second time I was 2.5 years sober. And we were in Perth, Australia, on tour opening up for Guns N' Roses. And I go out to go scuba dive by myself and get on the scuba boat. And I'm under this giant rock formation with this beam of light shooting in. And I'm on my knees just trying to, like, chill out. And I'm like, this is my 3rd year sober. This is awesome. Thank you so much. This is a great experience. I'm scuba diving off of Perth, Australia, on tour opening for Guns N' Roses with Korn. It's like it was all because of recovery. So I cherished that. I didn't lose sight of that. I'm here because I got sober. I'm here because I did this recovery process that was handed to me.
Was the band sober when you joined them?
No,
was it a safe environment?
It was much safer. They had, the craziness was not sustainable because HED, my first band, toured with Korn back on Follow the Leader, which is, I don't know what year, around 2000 or something, late 90s. Definitely not sober.
Right.
Talk about, I mean, they were playing arenas, and arenas have a lot of rooms, and there was a lot of crazy different things going on in a lot of different rooms.
Right.
DJs, they had a DJ for the after party, so it definitely wasn't sober back in the day, but by now everybody had their own version of copacetic. You know what I mean?
Right. And so the day that HED came, or Brian Head Welch came back, how'd that happen? I mean, were you blindsided, sad, or like, was it, did you have expectations, which sets us up for resentments? Walk me through that moment.
Well, because I had come out of orbit with my first band, and I wasn't a full-fledged member of Korn. I was brought in to play guitar. I had my eye on the impermanence of it. So, and even if I did stay, I was like, you need a side hustle. So I kind of had my brain there. I'm doing the spiritual stuff. Show me, God, where you want me, where you want me. And so what happened is the tour manager at the time, I'll leave him nameless, but he used to, I knew he wanted to get Brian back in the band, and I understood. Brian is an important force in that band. You know what I mean? And so he used to say, he used to joke with me, and I didn't like it. He'd go, you're going to be in the unemployment line soon. And he had a German accent. Oh, you're going to be in the unemployment line soon? What are you going to do? Or however he sounded. So I kind of knew the writing was on the wall. But what happened was at the Carolina Rebellion one year, Brian's band was playing there and Korn's band. He had a side band, Love and Death. And they got, because I think HED and JD, the singer, were still chatting and cool. I think that Monkey and HED hadn't spoken 7 years or something like that. So they got them together in a tour bus just to finally talk. It was like pretty insane. It's kind of like, whatever.
Right. Right.
Couple big powers coming together for the first time in many years. And so I remember walking up to Jonathan, seeing kind of the writing on the wall, and he goes, dude, we're not getting back together. Like he wasn't like BSing me, but there was a long road is basically what it was. And I was like, in my head, I was like, yeah, right. This is your brother. And, and I go, just let me know if you're, give me some heads up, because I got to make some arrangements here.
Right. Right.
So I saw it on the wall. The cool thing was that night he came out, and on stage, it was like I was in a legendary Hall of Fame rock star moment when he came out and played Blind, one of their famous songs, with the band for the first time. And so it was Monkey, me, and Brian Head as he played Blind and reunited with his band. And I'm on stage like, this is amazing. So no, I didn't have resentment. I was so happy for the band. And I was also scared shitless because I was like, I'm about to be out of a job. I'm really
right
now.
Right. Well, yeah. And early recovery, we're living in the now. So it's hard for us to get in the future and plan in early recovery. Are you and Brian close friends to this day?
He's such a sweet human being. And we get to witness in people's recovery journey, whatever that means, right? Recovery means getting back what's truly yours, right?
Right.
And he hit me up on Facebook not too long after that, and he goes, dude, I feel bad. I took your job. I mean, here's a guy coming back to his band, and he's saying that. He's just such a sweetheart of a human being. I was like, I don't remember what I said, but yeah, so we're still we're close, and he and the band have been big supporters of this thing I'm doing, Rock to Recovery. And
Yes.
so it's all been very beautiful.
And how have the 12 steps and sponsorship, mentorship, okay, how has that worked and transformed your life?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I go in, I lost my band, my rock star dream. This is before Korn, right? And I don't know who I am. Miserable. I'm full of shame. People used to respect me. I have a job I hate. Like, who am I? And I was desperate enough to give this 12-step thing a chance. I started hearing stories like a woman I remember, she said I was a prostitute, turning tricks in the park, shooting dope. I did the 12 steps, went back to law school, got a law degree, met the man of my dreams. I have a family with kids, loving family, and now I run my own law firm. I'm like, what? Because I didn't want to just be sober. I heard these transformations, and there's a number of examples of those stories I could give. And you start hearing of musicians that are also sober. So it was like, I already knew on this hand what me doing it my way yielded, and it sucked, and it was shit, and it got me into rehab. This, even though I didn't understand, it gave me a chance. And so I just did what people suggested. I went to a meeting every day because I got loaded every day. I got into the steps because I wanted to feel better. I hated how I felt sober. And then I learned, yes, this is why you were getting drunk. This is why. You don't like how you feel, so you're self-medicating. Okay, so then if I feel like shit and I can't get loaded, I got to take an action. And so the action might be calling an alcoholic, going to a meeting, being of service, working a step, I don't know, a gratitude list, do something to get positive motion in action, and most often out of self, because most of my suffering is the bondage of self. What Wes doesn't have. Wes needs more money. Wes feels ugly now. Wes doesn't like his job. Did Wes sound stupid last night? Did that girl just dump Wes? It's Wes, 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 too much Wes.
Yeah.
You know, that was I was taught by my friend sponsor. He used to always say exactly that. Too much Wes. And I learned. So what I equate it to, and I know there's people, you know, there's Buddhists that do 12 steps and Christians and whatever. It's not a religious program. It's a spiritual program.
Right.
And I've been really into spirituality. It's very interesting for me. I love learning about it. And the meditation piece that I talked to you about. But what I learned is it was a lot of energy work. And this may sound weird to people. But once I surrendered and was like, okay, now I know my problem, there was a great relief there.
Yeah.
That's energy. I no longer have to live this lie. I now have a plan. Made me feel better. It didn't fix everything all the time, but I felt that palpable change. Then as I started doing like 4-step and getting all that stuff out and seeing the 4-step is about the power I don't have because they're the victims and they're jerks and I'm mad at them and I shouldn't have done this in my sex life and all this stuff, right? But when I can see like, oh, I had some part in this, then now I'm empowered to go, okay, well, don't do that. Do something different. Act differently. Here's what's been hanging you up your whole life. Here's the pattern of your life. Now we can fix the car. We know that the timing belt is off. We fix the time. Okay, so now I can see where my issues were, where my character defects were, so I can stay out of things that cause me pain and suffering, that cause me to disconnect from people and get mad, etc. And I start doing my amends, which, by the way, one of my amends helped me get the Korn gig. But I started feeling these, like having a 1,000-pound backpack on. Every amends I made, I felt like this giant weight off my shoulder that I didn't even know was there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
could totally relate.
Yeah, I got my brother's tandem bike stolen. He grind me on that all the time. But then I bought him a new tandem bike and was like, ooh, God, I feel good right now. Damn. You know what I mean? My dad, I used to steal money from him. And one of my amends to him was to go up and visit him north of Reno in his little ranch house. And I was out of money at the time. I don't have the Korn gig. I'm trying to chase down the Korn gig. And he just goes, just come and visit me. I know you stole money. Just come visit. I'm like, I can't visit Dad now. I got to chase this Korn gig. Wait, what did they say? Put your recovery first. Fine. It's working so far. So I take the last of my money to buy a ticket and a rental car to get up to my dad. And I get off in the airport in Reno. And look who's playing there that weekend. Korn. I mean, I
Come
could
on.
chills right now. You can see
Yeah.
skin as they call it in the South.
Yeah. That's such
So
great. That's
so that got me to make amends to my father. That I was like, hey, Dad, I'm going to go this Korn thing. And I drove into Reno for one night. And because it wasn't an LA market, there's not that many people there. There's not press and all the homies. So I got some real FaceTime. My plan would have been go to an LA show, which would have been like probably, hey, what's up, dude?
yeah.
So did God's plan, putting recovery first, work for me? So all these things either cleaned out energy or tuned me into like this faithful energy, this belief energy. But I used to say, like, if you go to Hawaii and then you crash your car and you're in a ditch, you're not going to be like, wow, look at the pretty rainbow.
Right.
Well, that's me when I'm in my use, right? My life is so messed up, I can't feel it. When I come into recovery, my life's so fucked up, I'm not feeling good about much. But then as I start cleaning up, now my channel, my energetic channel to the beauty, if you struggle with God, I would say my energetic channel to perceive the beauty and the love and opportunity all around me is open. And now I'm working on cultivating that all the time. And through things like the 10th step, looking not if, but when things pop up. Resentment, I'm pissed at him. Oh, wait, I got to make an amends, keep my stuff clean so I can keep that energetic channel to what I call God open. And then we
So
get in. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Keep going.
I was just going to say, then we get into the 11th step. Some people call them like the maintenance steps, but this says improve. Improving is not maintenance. So as I continue to do this meditation, this prayer, reviewing my life, constant self-appraisal. Out there, I'm running from self. I don't want to own anything I do wrong. I want to deflect and say, it's not my fault. Here, I'm constantly going, how can I do better? Even if I'm selfish or afraid, I don't even have to piss somebody else
Right.
off. In the 11th step, it says, look for selfishness. All these places we suffer. Anyhow, we clean it up, and then I start feeling a lot better.
And for everyone who's listening, step 10 and 12-step recovery is, we take an inventory at the end of the day, when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 10, continue to take personal inventory. When we were wrong, promptly admitted it. And what I like to share on that when I'm talking to guys that we get to that step, and I didn't make it up, my sponsor gave it to me, is the first thing is when we review our day, let's compliment ourselves and see what we accomplished. That's where the self-esteem comes from. And then when we look at the things like, oh man, I threw a dry slug at my wife and I saw how it affected her. I need to make that right, or so I can get back in the house. You know what I mean? And then step 11, as you were touching on, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact, with our God. And that's so beautiful. We do that all day long. I do it all day long,
Yeah. Yeah.
because left to my own devices, I'll have a needle in my arm,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
at the end.
It's vital for it. What does it say? Anger is the dubious luxury of normal men. That
That's
stuff
right.
for us is deadly. All the people in the world have character defects and act out on them. The difference is, for me, it'll kill me, because if I keep acting out character defects, I'll disconnect from people in the world around me, and then I'll need to get loaded. And so, like you're saying, and so I like when they say, I had to get the ease and comfort out of the steps, right? And my recovery that I was getting in the bottle or the drug or the drink, right? So if
Like
I can
that.
get that ease and comfort, I'm going to go back. And this process is to get us the ease and comfort. And I was just telling my friend at lunch, sometimes out here, I've been hearing people say, there's no chapter called Into Feelings. And I just loathe that, because the entire purpose, well, they will say, in the big book, it says, the purpose of this book is to get connected to a power that can help you stay sober, right? Lack of power, dilemma. But the entire purpose of what we're doing in recovery is to learn how to live with our feelings and process them. That's why the 4th step is about resentments. What is resentment? Anger. What's underneath anger? It's the hurt you feel. Fear. What are you afraid of? You know what I mean? The sex inventory. You're being selfish. That's all my feelings. And like you're saying, like we've said, We're constantly doing these self appraisals so we can better navigate this life and our feelings and reactions to it.
Well said. And step 12 is, as a result of these steps, we
Yeah.
carry the message forward to help the one who is still struggling. And that leads us into Rock for Recovery. I mean, I see that as your 12th step. And before we get into that, I wanted to share something before I forget. One thing my sponsor told me that I just really, really loved is that when I do get into that shame and, is it shame or guilt? And he always said, shame's a lie. That's the disease that's talking. And he says, Michael, do you feel guilty? And I said, yeah. Do you want to know why? I said, why? Because you're guilty. So let's look into it. But as a result of these steps, we get even with our past. We're even. You know what I mean? And we move forward, and that's what Wes Geer is doing today for Rock for Recovery. What the heck is this, man? I saw the website. We'll have the website and all the description, but man, this is sick.
Thank you, brother. Wait, you said something that darn it, I forgot. What were you just saying? You're saying your sponsor, if you're guilty. Oh gosh, darn it, I forgot. Anyhow,
my sponsor said there is a difference between guilt and shame.
Same, yeah.
Shame is a lie. Okay, that's the voices in my head that's telling me I'm not good, right? And he shared with me. He goes, "Where is the proof? Where's the proof?" You know what I mean? And then the next thing was, as a result of working these steps in order with a sponsor, we have gotten even with our past.
Well, that's what it was. I want to say. Here's a beautiful thing based on what you and your sponsor, what you're talking about. We come in with so much shame and guilt. Everybody. Yeah. And the funny thing is, most people are think that theirs is so unique. It's like, no, everybody coming in, getting sober, into recovery, comes in with so much shame and guilt. We get to be so blessed because me telling my story of being so tweaked out, I wasn't there for my mom when she was fighting cancer, me, breaking into cars, all the stuff that made me feel shame is now the beacon of light, how people can relate to me and understand, oh, I used to tweak out and ruin my life too. Now it's the biggest and best tool I have to connect to others and help them in the 12 step sense, like you said. So it's
I love that.
How do we get so lucky to be such jerks? And us being a jerk is actually what helps save lives. I mean, it's
so funny you said that, because when I was speaking the other day, it just came to me is that, today I realize that accepting the role I played of the wreckage of my past and my trauma and the role I played in it and true forgiveness, today I realize that my past and trauma is a gift. It's a gift because, we get to give the solutions away. I love that, what you said.
Yeah, it'd be like if you got yourself horribly in debt and went bankrupt, and being bankrupt actually helped you get a loan. That's kind of what we get that in recovery. Like I ruined my life with meth, heroin, and all this horrible stuff, and it's going to help me save some lives. Wow, that worked out.
Yeah, we don't walk into 12-step support group meetings on a winning streak. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet. We come in there with our hair on fire and my tongue stuck to the top of my mouth, And so it's funny. Rock for Recovery. I love it. You got M2 the Rock, and you got Rock to Recovery.
Rock to Recovery.
How'd this start?
So the Korn gig's ending, and I'm in self-pity going, F you, universe. What am I going to do at whatever, 40-something years old? I got no career, no trade, no schooling. And I went back to what was taught in our recovery processes, which is how I could be of service. And I said, okay, I don't think I'm here to suffer. Clearly, I'm supposed to be sober. And I feel pretty much spiritually like I was drawn to be a musician. And I said, God, how do I help people and make a living? And to me, that's like kind of the prayer that I wish is like, if there's one thing people take away is like, that's the prayer, man. Like, how do I help people and be my best me? Right. That's like when the heavens felt like they opened up. So I had this idea come to me called to bring music into treatment centers. Because when I was in the rehab, We were drawing pictures with crayons and doing yoga, and everybody's farting and not taking it serious. And I'm like, come on, man, I'm trying to do this downward dog thing, you know? But there was no music. And I had my guitar with me, and I would just hit the simplest chord, and you'd feel the energy in the room change. And then I'd write like a silly little like boom, becky, boom, beck, boom, beck, and everybody start dancing. Even the gangbangers, even the 70-year-old mailman, we'd goof off and write silly lyrics. And I was like, how powerful is this? But I didn't know anything about it clinically, of course. But I pitched it for a few months and finally had a treatment center give me a chance. And what I do with Rock to Recovery is go in to treatment centers and take who's ever there, you know, men, women, old, young, can be eating disorders, can be addiction, whatever we're working with. And I get them non-musicians. So this is for non-musicians, show them how to write, perform, and record a song in each session. So I usually connect with them on some sort of relevant topic that we're feeling in the moment, show them how our feelings is what becomes lyrics, pen the lyrics and get everybody playing guitars, keyboard, hand drums, and we write and we sing it together and record it right then. And right away, I saw in one of my early sessions, and it was almost a train wreck, but we pulled it off. But this guy came in, and he came in late, and he was a dope sick junkie who was suicidal. And he's like, I'm trying not to die. What are you doing here with guitars? How's this going to help me? I told him the process. Hey, we're writing the song. Actually, that day happened to be about kicking heroin. And he started buying in, and all he had was a little shaker. It was a pink little, looks like an egg shaker. I showed him how to do it. I showed him how the song went. He started getting so into it, singing along, dancing. By the end, he was like, oh my God, you're going to be here next week, right? Oh, this is amazing. I was like, whoa. So you're suicidal, basically telling me to fuck off? And you got engaged with writing and singing and playing the song. And now you have what they call measures of wellness. You have hope. You have joy. You're optimistic. What drug does that in 45 minutes? I've taken acid on a bad mood, and it does not work. Let me tell you.
Right.
It's not a fun trip. So I've started the organization on 12/12 of 12, and now we have almost 25 people that are out there. We do about 600 sessions a month. We've worked with a couple hundred treatment programs. We're in our 9th year of contract with the Department of Defense. They fly us around the country working with wounded veterans, wounded warriors, their families, their children. Like I said, we work with addiction, mental health, eating disorders, all sorts of stuff. And we get integrated as part of the weekly treatment curriculum of all these different programs. And it has been the biggest blessing ever. And I'll explain one of the greatest moments of my life. One of them was playing with Korn, you know, with the Rock 'em Ring to 80,000 German fans with lightning.
And the others being on Into the Rock.
Number 2.
So I got to make it about me.
Absolutely. You're definitely top 5. But the other one was at our 10-year anniversary party. We were just celebrating. Rock Recovery had been around 10 years. My team of musicians who's out there writing songs, having these experiences like we shared where people are transformed, you know, from darkness to light, writing and singing and all that. They did a montage video, and they're all musicians, of course. And so many of them were like, you know, I thought my music career is over. Now I have this job working with people, and it's like the most fulfilling thing ever. Thank you, Wes. It's not about thanking me.
I get you. I'm tracking.
That's what I call the Vortex of Radness. And it's what happened is I started bawling, and I'm not much of a crier. I'm bawling my eyes out because to see their gratitude and fulfillment in the work they do, and to know I had a little part in that, and that we're sharing in this energy, right? That's why it's a vortex, like what we're doing here.
Yeah.
You have the positivity and the joy and the spiritual transformation of your recovery. You're doing this podcast. You're creating space. You're sharing love with me. I'm feeling it. I'm sharing back. And this is how recovery works. This is how healthy living, this is what I call the Vortex of Radness. So that was like one of the best moments of my life.
You know, what I heard you said is, what I hear of that is connection, you know, is being connected. You know, when I think about my past, I was very good at being connected. I connected myself with people who drank and used, right? So why would it be so hard to connect with people in recovery? Just do the opposite. And, that's where the hope comes in, that I'm not alone. And I loved your story about the music and the guy that was, kicking off heroin, and he jumped in and just played a little shaker and got real excited. What I hear there is that he experienced being in the now and in the present with no dope.
Absolutely.
And I share this a lot, that, the safest place in the world is right here, right now, because that's where God's at. Your God of your understanding. That's where he's at. And it's just so powerful. So how do we get into the now? How do we do that? What's the button? Is serve.
Yeah.
This show I'm doing with you right now, I'm not thinking about the future. I'm not thinking about the past. I'm thinking about right here, right now. And as you're sharing with me and people watching, I'm laughing at these stories you're telling. I'm laughing because I did it. I can relate. I can relate to the thinking and the process of how that works.
Amen.
You know, what about musicians that are touring now? Is there resources for them? Or are you a voice that if they ever need help, that that you're helping the musicians who are out there now, trying to save them, that so they don't have to go down the road that Korn and all the guys went down?
Yeah, Rock to Recovery isn't designed to be support for that, but a lot of people, just by the name, will reach out to us. But my experience of the industry now, and of course there's new bands coming up all the time, but there's such more of an awareness on mental health, especially with the Gen Z and the millennials, because they've struggled so much with mental health. They're very much aware of it, where we kind of had to learn, the Gen X and whatever, the baby boomer, I don't even know. It was kind of new for us to learn and talk about mental health and not pretend everything's okay. So I just feel like there's so many musicians out there who are now sober or aren't into the sex, drugs, and rock and roll like we used to be. And I just think there's much more of a presence out there. I can't go to a concert anymore and not know a couple sober people that are in the audience, And so it's an exciting time in that way. It's not like the 30s, the 40s, the 50s when AA and whatever, you hid in some basement and nobody talked about it. And I think that's why what you're doing is so important, is we carry that voice out in the world, because, like, we got to be careful with the anonymity portion and these traditions. But at the same time, being a beacon of light in this world of social media, I think is really important.
Wes, my bottom was so low, I can't be anonymous. You know what I mean? You can Google my fifth step. But that's good stuff. So what is Wes doing today? Is it just all Rock to Recovery?
Largely. So I'm glad you asked, because my partner, it gives me the opportunity to make a statement that will appease my partner. So we see Rock to Recovery working. We've done 35,000 songs. We see this thing working. And I was meditating on, like, where can I take this company? Not in a ego need to get rich or bigger than necessary, but just to help more musicians and bring, my life. When I leave this planet, I want to be known for a guy that if I could help, reframe the way music is used to impact the world for a positive. I always say I want to help proliferate the use of music as a healing and transformative force in the world. That's my goal.
Right.
So how do we do that? So what we realize is that we want to get to a broader market. Mental health is a massive issue in the workplace, these return to work orders, the post-COVID, there's many issues, and there's a lot of money being spent. It's actually a $6 billion industry on corporate wellness, etc. And there's not that many great modalities out there. I hope I'm not offending anybody, So we are going to do a new company iteration with the same deliverable product, if you will, but to a broader market, and try to get people before they get into rehab, and try to help make the work environment a better place, elder care and other places. So we're going to call it Band Jam, because that's what we do. We form a band and we jam, because you're not going to go into some legal office and go, hey, you guys want to Rock to Recovery? And you're going to be like, what? But we could go, hey, Band Jam, transforming wellness through music. That's what we're doing. We just started launching that company as we speak. So there's been a lot of that kind of corporate tech, and we're basically a tech company. Like the Uber model, where we have the musicians on one side and the customers that go, hey, we want to have this musical experience, and we bring them together and give them a platform so they can connect. And that's what I've been working on, and it's very exciting.
That is really awesome. I want to hear more about that. We need to talk offline on that because I was
Sure.
getting goosebumps because
Oh, that's
we'll
cool.
talk offline on that. So,
Okay.
but that is a great idea. If it means anything, I highly support that. Wes, before we land this and have a little fun, there is something that I want to have you give feedback on. I know here at M2 The Rock, probably 90% of the people, and by the way, if you are, I do the best I can on messages. You know what I mean? I do the best I can. 95% of the people that reach out are the loved ones, the mom, the dad. Very rarely does the addict, reach out. I wouldn't have, you know what I mean? They're the ones that engage on the show. They're the one, a lot of them, watch the show but when we start getting sober, way to go, Wes, you got 1 month. Way to go, Wes, you got a year. Way to go, M2, you got 2 years. And it's all this celebration. But what about the loved ones? No one's clapping for them. And for the loved ones who have a son, daughter, husband, wife that's struggling, what is your advice to them, suggestion to them on what they need to do day one once their kid goes to recovery?
Yeah. So what we know now through decades and decades of these scenarios is that the loved ones become sick, not in a shame, judgmental way. They become spiritually sick through unavoidable codependency, trying to save their kids, and you can't.
Mm.
There really isn't anything you can do. So there's programs like Al-Anon, and there's like, therapists that can help with codependency. And really, the parents need to understand what they can control. They have to be taught, and they need support, and they need support groups.
Yeah.
Because when you have a child or a husband or whatever, you love them so much you would die for them. And unfortunately, that's what starts happening, that they start dying in a spirit sense and making poor decisions that aren't good for anybody. And they think they're the best decisions because they get in so many distortions. So I would beg anybody to put their own well-being first and get into some sort of Al-Anon or support group so you can really get realistic about what you can control and what you can't control. Because if somebody's not ready to stop, they're not going to stop. And sadly, that's just how it is. There's nothing you can do, and so I'll give a little example. Like I said, I told my brother, I'm on meth and heroin, and he was gonna, try to change, and he just do the drinks and the weed, right? The best thing he did was he fired me from work, and he said, "You're out of here. You're out of here. You might have a job back. If you go to rehab, maybe we'll have a job for you when you get back. But if you want to keep doing what you're doing, we're not doing that anymore." And if he didn't do that, if he had kept going like, "Oh, let's work on them," I would have just kept on my way. I had to hit a bottom. I had to lose things. And for me, my bottom wasn't as bad as some. But we know that people will drink and use themselves to death in a hotel room. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. So it's, sometimes we have to walk away. We have to love somebody and love ourselves enough to walk away and go, I'm not going to stand by you if you're going to kill yourself. You want help? I will be here for you. But I can't save you unless you're willing to work with me.
That's right. Love an addict, bury an addict. You know what I mean? And I'll say it. I say this a lot, that the family member, the untreated family member, let's just the scenario that the son goes to treatment and he's digging in, he's doing it. He's working his deal. If the family is not working a program of recovery while he's at treatment, it's going to be ugly when he gets out because the family members actually become more sick than the addict.
Yep.
I mean, they actually do. I mean, I've talked to family members like going, we'll pay for this, but don't tell them we're doing it. I'm like, whoa. See what you're doing? You're doing the same thing your son's doing. The secrets, hiding secrets. It becomes a very, very sick situation. So for the family members, listen to what Wes said and reach out for help and find someone who's been through it. A family member.
Addiction is a family disease. And it's not even if somebody listening to this wants to agree with me, it's the facts.
It is.
I worked in treatment centers, and you get to know the person in the rehab, and then mom and dad come in, and it's like, even the good ones, right, that aren't drinking and using, the mom and dad, you're like, oh, I get it now. I get it. And it's not that you're blaming them, but you see how it all works together. I've seen it a number of times, too many, where more than it's almost, you can't believe how obvious it is.
Right. You know, an interesting theory real quick. I was going back to this guy that the first time he did music, there was that wow, you know, this spiritual, you know, sensation that he was feeling. Is it safe to say that the first time that you played music and you started getting really good at it, it changed the way you felt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you wanted more music, and then you start drinking and doing drugs because we want more. We want to enhance the feeling. And then it actually works the opposite, where we actually hit bottom. And I'll never forget, you know, my sponsor telling me that when Stevie Ray Vaughan came to him to help him, to get him sober, and he says, I can play the guitar even better today. And he's like, no, man, you can really play. He goes, no. Today I can really play. It was like somebody took the boxing gloves off and I can play even better. You know, from Stevie Ray Vaughan. What a great visual on that.
Yeah, for a lot of artists and people, right? You know, sex is better loaded. Whatever's better loaded. Better. It's like, no, the art, the passion, the expression comes from you. And so if getting loaded, you think it makes you better, it's just because it helps you quiet the voices of doubt, of self-doubt and everything. But when you're quieting those voices of self-doubt, you're also numbing out your physical abilities, your ability to feel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's so true. Like going back to I used to play so wasted with HED and love it, but I was so sloppy. And then when I got to play with Korn, Ray Luzier on the drums, this guy is a machine. If I got off, he'd be like, hey. And I got so freaking tight. I got playing so well. I never played so good. And it's totally true. And look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to say that playing loaded wasn't fun and having sex loaded isn't fun. It certainly was, but it's not sustainable. But what you do learn is being fully present because you've done it enough to fully feel. It's the most incredible thing ever. Think about it.
Yeah.
God gave us sex. God gave us music and art and these things. Why would we need drugs for them to be amazing? Like they're already,
because we want more, Wes.
Yeah, they're already gifts unto themselves. Amen. Man.
Well, all right, Wes, let's have some fun real quick to land this thing.
All right.
Is it your favorite guitar player of all time?
Oh, man. I'm going to go with the OG favorite, although there's a lot of people battling, Steve Vai. I love Steve Vai.
Wow.
Yeah, Steve Vai can kind of do it all. You know, he does this flash, and he was so, like, kind of bizarre. He brought in a lot of scales and sounds and tones that were not normal at the time. He got us out of pentatonic world. What he did with the whammy bar took Eddie Van Halen stuff to the next level. His feel, his vocal expression, you know, and he can dip into the blues and stuff. Like, I love Steve Ray Vaughan. Who's the guy now? Arlo Guthrie?
Yeah.
It's kind of the frizzy hair.
Yeah.
If I'm saying the right name, this guy's incredible. So I love all the guys, but Steve Vai, I got to give it to him. All
right. All-time favorite band besides HED and Korn.
I would never pick them. It's a toss up between right now probably like Radiohead and Led Zeppelin for me. Yeah. I mean, Led Zeppelin just dominated. Like, they did the blues, they did early metal, they did, you know, rock and roll. They just did it all. Ballads, acoustic, and they just dominate. They're kind of like the Led Zeppelin's kind of like the Patriots, the New England Patriots of
Right. They just win. All they got to do is spell their name right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, if you so you're what was the coolest guy that you met on tour? If you were either opening or somebody opening for y'all, what was that guy going, man, I like that dude?
That's a tough one, but I just texted him today, so I'm going to go with with Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses. He
Yeah.
was so freaking cool. Again, I'm with Korn. We're out doing some festival in Belgium, and which is out kind of by some farmland and stuff. I met him through a friend, Mike Squires. His band Loaded was playing. Anyhow, he's like, "Hey, you guys, let's go for it." He's just so nice. He's so sweet, so down to earth. He's like, "Let's go for a jog." So Duff and Mike and I were jogging through these like cow pastures in Belgium with like a light rain and puffy clouds and doing push-ups everywhere. It's just like, this is what it's all about. When you meet your legend friend, you know, and they're cool like that. There is a saying, by the way, don't meet your favorite legends because it'll ruin it for you. Because a lot of times they'll
let you down.
Duff was the opposite. He's just such a loving and very smart dude.
Wes Geer, Rock to Recovery, former guitar player for HED, Korn. We are so grateful to have you on the show and your wisdom, and you're just a great vibe, great spirit, in solution. I mean, you're in solution. And we really do appreciate, and we want to invite you back on again. Can't wait to see you when we come out to LA. And
I love that.
Go for it. But Wes, I always end the show. What's that?
Give it up. Got to give it to you for your vibe. Thank you. It's way more fun than I ever thought it could be. So thank you. And can I do one more plug?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let's see if I can get it up here fast. I have a new band called Human that if people want to hear my new stuff, but it's spelled really weird. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, that's working. Is that coming? Wait. Oh, wait. There's the dark part. Oh, there it is. HU3M3N. I know it sounds hard, but it's Human.
Well, text it to me, and I'll definitely put it in the description where everybody can click on it.
I don't know why my friends are up there. There's like some hot chick friend up there. People are not probably even seeing the band logo. They're like, "Ooh, who's that girl?"
But yeah, definitely send me your Instagram link on that, and we'll put it in the below. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this out. Yeah. Wes Geer. I always close the show out this way. Ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
I got 3 words for you.
Yeah.
It's got 8 letters.
I love you.
It's got one meaning. My man, I love you. From all of us here at Into the Rock, go make it a great day.